So, to give some context, I, female 32, have been married to my husband 39 for 4 years. I work a full-time job while he does a weekend shift 3 times a week. We have a 2-year-old, and I'm 6 months pregnant. This whole drama started days ago. My husband has a large family, and on every Christmas, they gather at his father's house. Unfortunately, my father-in-law passed away a year ago, and this year my husband decided to host Christmas at our house as the man of the family. Unbeknownst to me, he sent out invitations for a 5-day Christmas celebration to his entire family, about 26 members in total. I found out about it by accident, and I was too shocked to react. I confronted him on it, and he said that I shouldn't be surprised and get used to it because after his father's death, he's now the family's head, and all major family events will be held in our house and his presence. I freaked out and said, no, this is wrong, and he should have talked to me first before sending out any invitations to his family, knowing I have other commitments like work and taking care of the house and our son. He said we'd manage if I took time off work, but that means more workload later, and it'll take away from my maternity leave. I demanded he cancel the invitation, but he refused, saying over my dead body, then walked out. I ended up sending a mass text to everyone who received an invitation, explaining that we would not be hosting Christmas this year. He found out and went off on me, calling my behavior outrageously appalling, and saying that I broke his word to his family and made him look small and with no authority. In a very strict tone, I replied that I didn't sign up to host a celebration and accommodate 26 people while pregnant, taking care of a toddler, and working. And I don't care if he became the head of the family after his father's death, because it means nothing to me. He took offense to that and walked out almost crying. He later talked about how I disrespected his father and him with what I said, and demanded a handwritten apology for canceling the event and being insensitive towards him and undermining his authority in front of his family. I said no apology from me in any form, and the issue was still up, especially with my mother-in-law giving me a stern talk about how out of line I was for disrespecting my husband's decisions regarding the holiday celebration with family. Edit. He planned on sitting and telling stories of his dad while I handled everything, and his family believed that it was rude to ask them to help his guest. Not the idiot. Is he delusional? A written apology? What are you, his servant? Jesus Christ, that's repulsive. You married a man who seems to have been born into the wrong decade, century, to be so misogynistic. I almost want to advise you to tell your husband that yes, he can organize the event, but you won't be there, and neither will your son. Undermining his what? I'm curious where he thinks he gets this perceived authority from. Don't be a doormat, OP. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't have canceled the party. Instead, I simply ignore the husband by not shopping for any Christmas supplies and stay in bed all day on Christmas Day. Man of the family indeed. Unless your husband was planning on doing all the cooking, hosting, entertaining, and taking care of the kids, not the idiot. I would seriously probably leave my husband if he spoke to me like this or acted this way. You're the one doing everything. If anything, you're the man of the family now. You work, take care of the kids, run the house. You're the one who has the authority, not him. And he comes from a family who thinks the same stupid stuff. My mother-in-law for giving me a stern talk about how out of line I was. Yeah, they cooked this up together and pretty obviously didn't tell you on purpose. Neither one respects you as an equal partner in your family. Not the idiot. Stand your ground. If he insists on re-inviting everyone, don't lift one finger to help and let him do it all himself. Ugh. But are you seriously going to tell me that this is the first time you've ever had a red flag from him? This type of nonsense doesn't crop up out of nowhere. He's absolutely insane. 26 people over without telling you, expecting you to do everything while pregnant and taking care of a toddler, and then wants a freaking handwritten apology when you cancel his surprise crap show? Bonkers. Leave him for the love of God. Do you want to raise your kids with this man? Have they seen him disrespect you like this? A written apology, for God's sake? You are not his bloody staff. I have a nearly adult son who has a girlfriend and an ex. My son also has a car, so I think you can see where this is going. My son dumped his ex-girlfriend because he began to have feelings for another girl. He spoke to me, and I made sure to tell him to dump her lightly and not to hurt her feelings before trying things out with the other girl. He did, telling ex why she was being dumped. Obviously, the ex was not happy. She ended up keying my son's car. I'm talking to the point where it was completely messed up. She carved my son's new girlfriend's name onto the doors and called her names. She also broke one of the windows and poured a soft drink into it. I come home as she's pouring in the soft drink and immediately call the cops. The ex got arrested and had to pay the bill. I'm feeling like pressing charges because it's my son's first car, and we don't want to spend much money on a new car. The ex's mother came to my house and was full on screaming that I'm a monster for calling the cops on a black girl and how my son cheated and deserved to have his car ruined. I don't feel in the slightest bit bad for pressing charges and ruining this girl's life because she's acting like a complete psycho. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She can be upset all she wants. She doesn't get to destroy someone's property. Her being black had nothing whatever to do with it. Immaturity knows no color. Judging the mother's response, we can see why the ex thought this was acceptable. Her mom is setting her up for failure, and I'm saying that as a black woman. If you commit a crime, you pay for it. She's old enough to know what she did was wrong, so they better pay for that car. Not the idiot. As much as people like to think so, being cheated on or dumped is not an excuse to damage people's property. If she doesn't face repercussions while she's young, how will this woman learn that it's not okay to vandalize someone else's belongings? Yeah, her mom is part of the problem. OP, you didn't ruin her life. Any consequences she faces are due to her own actions, not you calling the police. Her mother has clearly shown her she doesn't need to take responsibility for her actions. But unfortunately, that's not true. Document the incident well. Something tells me that this won't be the last time your son has to deal with her. I, female 31, immigrated to the U.S. with my family when I was 19 years old. My husband, 37, came as a PhD student in one of the top universities. We met in a religious celebration social event through common friends attending our local mosque. I was 23 when he was 29 years old. He was still a fresh graduate and looking for marriage at the time. He was very caring, smart, and affectionate. Also, he has a great sense of humor. I had fallen in love with him. A year later, he asked for my hand, and we are now married for 7 years. When we were married, he was working as a research scientist in one of the top tech companies in the U.S. Our marriage couldn't be more perfect. I discovered how romantic and charming my husband is. Our intimacy is amazing. I always felt desired and loved by him. We have 2 beautiful children, and he's a great father. My world was perfect until he decided to quit his job and launch a startup. His startup achieved massive success and racked up millions of dollars in investments. My husband became a successful entrepreneur. Since he became rich, we moved to a large mansion, and I noticed he started to change. He comes home late every night saying he has late meetings with important people and I should go to bed and not wait for him. He starts wearing expensive clothes and spends more time in front of the mirror. He becomes cold with me and barely spends time with his children. After finding a membership card for an upscale nightclub in his suit pocket, I grew suspicious. So I searched his phone and I found photos of him sitting in a lounge with his business partners, surrounded by beautiful women in skimpy outfits. I felt my stomach drop. I confronted him. He calmly explained to me that these women are just ladies invited by his business partners and not him. He insisted that it's common practice for the wealthy investors. However, he fears God and he doesn't want anything to do with them. He has no choice in that matter. I informed him that I'm not comfortable with that and how he has changed and is unavailable for his children and me. He replied, "Those old days are gone for good. Now he is a busy businessman, and I should understand his responsibilities." The worst has yet to come. He organized an inauguration party of the new headquarters of his new company affiliate and didn't invite me, despite inviting all his employees and their spouses. I learned this from one of his employees, a friend of mine. I used to visit him in his office, and I know some of his employees. While he was dressing for the event, I confronted him, and he told me that many important investors will attend the event and most of them are Republicans, so the last thing they want to see is my wife wearing a hijab. Headscarf, I'm sorry. I collapsed in crying, and he left me without saying a word. My friend sent me a video of my husband dancing with a blonde woman in a long, revealing black dress at the inauguration event. There was slow dance music and a dance floor next to the tables. She told me that he didn't leave her side for a second the whole night, and there were rumors in the company that my husband has a close relationship with her. Some of her coworkers saw them together before that. In the past, when we just got married, I recall one night he told me that he was bullied when he was a kid, and how the hate he had for his bullies pushed him to work hard to prove himself, but he felt like he had skipped his teen years as a result. He also talked about how he used to be obsessed with blonde hair and blue eyes and loved wild Western women because he was like a military academic graduate in his teen years and regretted missing all these years. But in the end, he didn't have the courage to ask them out, referring to the blondes, because of his lack of confidence and social skills, in addition to cultural differences. He looks too boring in their eyes. Just recalling these details devastated me. I kept quiet for a few days until I couldn't take it anymore and confronted him again. He told me that, quote, she's just a friend and nothing else, and I should quit excessive jealousy and hallucinating. Yesterday, I heard him talking on the phone in his home office. I thought he was talking with her because the door was closed and he was laughing. I break in, start yelling at him, "It's her, right?" and cry. He starts shouting in anger, "What do you want to hear? You want me to tell you it's her? Yes, I was talking with her, and I'm deeply in love with her. You feel good now?" And he left. I'm crying since yesterday. I love this man. I hate myself and have lost all my confidence. I wish all this wealth disappears and our simple life returns like it used to be. I'm worried this woman will steal my husband and he'll leave me for her. I feel like he's on a power trip and it's killing me. I don't know what to do. I'm completely devastated. I'm going to be blunt. You have lost your husband. The man you are living with is no longer your husband. You can try getting your imam and parents involved to see if the marriage can be salvaged, but I doubt it. Go to a divorce lawyer and weigh your options. I'm guessing there was no prenup. Take as much of his money and assets as you can, then go live your life. Good luck. And prepare for him to tell you he wants a second wife. The wealth and power have corrupted him, sadly. He has already damaged his reputation among some employees, if not the others who behave in the same way as him. You should consult a lawyer. He might be enjoying having the best of both worlds right now, but if you remove the loving family from the equation, he might realize his mistake. He might not. I'm sorry, but wealth has not changed your husband. Fundamentally good people do not turn into cheating idiots overnight because they make money. Other women cannot steal your husband. Your husband is not a passive object. If he cheats on you, he's making the conscious choice to do it because he doesn't respect you or value his family. I call up a friend that can offer you level-headed support and find a lawyer. He built a parallel world in which you and your kids do not fit anymore. He now gets the attention of others and does not need you anymore. I think he's not physically cheated on you yet, but emotionally, he detached himself from you. I'm sorry, but I think there will be no happy end anymore for you both. Maybe in some years he'll realize what he lost, but you cannot just wait for it and build your own life. Protect yourself and the kids. I, 22 male, just finished college and went back to my hometown while figuring out what I wanted to do next. I was planning to share an apartment with my old friends, but my parents wanted me to move in to help them out. The global issue has hit them hard, and they're struggling to pay their bills, so they wanted me to move in and pay rent. I said okay because I wanted to help them out. It all went well until 3 days after I moved in. My mother came in around 9 p.m., saying I'd had enough screen time and need to sleep. I thought this was ridiculous because I'm an adult paying rent. They have no right to demand this. She said, "You're living under my roof. I make the rules." I went along with it for the night, and the next morning I took my laptop back from their room. She proceeded to ground me for disobeying her authority. I had enough of this, called the people I was going to room with, and asked if they still had a spot. They said yes, so I packed up and moved in with them. So now my family is hounding me for not supporting my family. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Grounding a 22-year-old man and taking away his computer is ridiculous. Even if you didn't pay rent, which you do. You tried to help them out. They treated it like they were doing you a favor. So go and don't look back. Haha, too funny. Tell them to make an ad for a tenant and make sure to put in the ad that they'll be controlling the tenant's screen and bedtime, and they must obey all house rules or be grounded. They can't have you as an adult and have you as a child at the same time. At 22, the parental authority should be taking an advisor role, not a dominator one. Many parents find this transition difficult, though frankly they should have started working on it years ago. But it being difficult for them is their problem, not yours. You're not causing fights. You're not straining against their rules. You're just refusing to be put into a position where you have to submit. That's reasonable, mature behavior. I wouldn't be surprised if these family members, flying monkeys, get a very biased recounting of what happened. I doubt OP's parents told them exactly what they did, and instead made it sound like OP had just upped and left after 3 days for no reason, or was being a horrible person, so they had to kick him out. I'd be interested to know what they said if OP told them the whole story, but the sad reality is that the one who gets their story told first is usually the one who's believed. I, 18 female, cut my hair into a pixie cut about 3 years ago to donate it. My hair was to my waist before, and I spent the last year growing it out. I finally managed to get it to about shoulder length after many awkward phases, frustration, and patience. Well, a classmate of mine was just diagnosed with cancer. She's a nice person, and I honestly feel for her, but we're not friends. I barely know her since most classes have been online. However, some of her friends have shaved their heads to show support and are pushing the rest of the class to shave their hair. When they asked me, I explained that I'd been growing out my hair for so long and didn't want to do all that again so soon, but that if our classmate needed any help, if she missed any classes or homework, she could call or FaceTime me, and I'd help. Her friends didn't take that well and called me selfish and mean. Even though most of the class didn't, 3 of her friends and 2 guys did, no one else. But they argued that I'm different and should do it too to show support, because you already know what you look like with short hair. The other girls don't, so it's easier for you. The classmate with cancer told them that it's fine if I don't want to, and they didn't have to do it either, but they're not letting it go. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Former cancer/chemo patient here. I honestly never understood the shaving of the head in solidarity. It was much more meaningful to me when people brought me food, sent cards, looked out for my family, drove me places when I couldn't drive, hugged me when I started to lose my hair. I think your suggestion to help your classmate keep up with schoolwork is a better idea. It's for social media. OP, it is too late to do this since they already shaved their heads. But for anyone else reading this, if you are asked to shave your head, go ahead and bluff and say, only as long as no one posts to any social media about it, or it will look like we're doing it for us and not for our friend with cancer. Back before social media, the whole idea was to shave then donate your hair. The idea is that your friend with cancer would take advantage of some charity that provides wigs for cancer patients, and then your donations would support the charity to continue their good work for the next patient.